I do not lose. I do not lose. I want the people around me to have that same attitude. We do not lose. We take a step back. We can reassess the situation, right? This is setbacks, this drawbacks. We may have to take some time off, but we do not lose at all.
Bleu Pablo born Elijah Wrighton is a Bronx-born abstract artist and visual storyteller whose work lives in the space between chaos and stillness. Raised in a family of creatives, Bleu learned early on that art isn't just decoration, it's transformation. And over a decade into his practice, he builds incredible, moving canvas pieces filled with layered textures, vivid colors, and his signature blue line, representing presence and identity. But for Bleu, making space for others is just as important as the art itself. He is a true community architect, co-founding Scott Bleu Studios in the Bronx as a sanctuary for emerging talent and serving as editor-in-chief of Bleucalf Magazine to amplify artists of color from inner city communities. Whether he's pushing boundaries on the canvas or building platforms for the next generation, he is entirely changing the game.
I've done so many things, and there's so many people that wish they had the opportunity that I had. And I reflect and say, you know what? I cannot take these things for granted. There's so many people that want to be in your shoes. You have to count your blessings.
In this episode, we dive into the messy, beautiful reality of the creative journey. We discuss the catalyst for change, navigating institutional gatekeeping, the mental battleground, legacy over validation. This episode is for the creative who is fighting off doubt, the visionary who feels gatekept, and the purpose-driven leader. Bleu, welcome to the show. So excited to have you with us this evening.
Oh, I appreciate it, Nicole. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome. So let's dive right in. First, I'd like to take a look at your background and origins. You describe your work as living between chaos and stillness. Really love that. How do you navigate that in your life?
Yeah, I think for me, art was that outlet for me to express that. I always talk about my work. I actually gave a little brief presentation on my last exhibit to where like I felt like my life was very chaotic, and I think life in itself is very chaotic, depending on who you talk to. And I recently came up with a signature as a line, a blue line, and that really represents a sense of self-identity and balance in my life, but I'm pretty sure other people can relate as well. So um, I navigate it literally through creating and really speaking what I'm feeling at that moment and really sharing it with the world too. With creating art comes a lot of self-reflection afterwards, and it's really good for the psyche. I encourage everyone to get into some form of art or creating of some sort, but definitely it's really been a great outlet for me to really find who I am and grow as a person and really use it as a tool for self-reflection for sure.
I love that. A lot of people don't take the time to reflect or do the
Yeah.
inner work. Do you feel you were always an artist, or is this something that you decided to focus on as you were focusing on personal development?
Yeah, I've always felt a gravitational pull to be creative in some sort. I guess the artist title became later, but I've always been on the creative side. And I'll also share that I come from like sort of like a creative family. My mom is an artist in her own right. She may not call herself an artist. She's a hairstylist, but she does paint too. My grandmother is an artist. She definitely is an artist. She does a lot of collage work. She did a lot of collage work with the churches. I remember my earliest memories, and she's still alive, but she actually used to take me to Lehman College in the Bronx for art exhibits. And I remember in art classes too. I remember building the Brooklyn Bridge out of toothpicks.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. Popsicle sticks to be exact. Um, it's so my uncle, which I always reference, was my main inspiration into getting into contemporary art. And his use of colors really taught me how to express emotions through different colors and different feelings. So I've always had a gravitational pull. And then also, as I've gotten older, I've realized that it kind of runs in my lineage. I didn't know until like I was around 25, but yeah.
So you said you didn't know until you were 25, so you
Hmm.
were exposed so early in your life, coming from a creative family, having your uncle, is it Albert Wright,
Yeah, Albert Wright,
shape
great
your
Albert
first art?
Wright. Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
your role and you really walking into that space of contemporary art. But what made you to start practicing art fully at the age of 25? Was there a trigger point, a pivotal moment when you decided?
Yeah, I was around the time I was actually dabbling in and creating my clothing line, which is now known as Bleucalf, which is my magazine, and I'm sure we'll get into that.
Hmm.
Um, but I didn't have a definitive direction, and I guess I could be share, I could be a little raw in this episode.
Oh no. Okay.
Depending on how far you let me go. But
Okay.
um, I actually psychedelics was a really powerful thing. My friend, he called me one day. He was like, Eli, I need you to come to my house. We're trying mushrooms, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I wasn't gonna do it. I go to his house, and he's like, okay, we're all taking it. And I'm like, bro, come on. He's like, it's all right. And then we actually ordered Wendy's. We put the mushrooms on a thing. I'm like, whatever. He's like, it's just like smoking weed. It's the same thing. I was so high. It was amazing.
Oh
It
my.
was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had. And just to give a little insight on psychedelics, particularly mushrooms, it's not really an addictive thing. I've only tried it like once or twice. And it's one of those things that actually makes you self-reflect a lot in your life of what's going on. So during that time, I was like really in a zone. I was tripping. I was really reflecting on what do I want to do in life? Like, and the solution really came down to prioritizing my own happiness. That was super important. And I was like, you know what? I don't care about anything. I'm just gonna like go for it. Like I'm not gonna really put a lot of weight on a career or not to say it isn't important, but I want to do the things that make me happy first. And because life is so short and relationships are so short, I'm gonna, prioritize relationships with family, with friends, with intimate ones, I'm gonna do what makes me happy. So after that long journey and self-realization, I grabbed a canvas from Rite Aid and some kids paint, and I just started painting. And I literally from then fell in love with painting. Like I felt like a 5-year old. Like it was one of the best feelings, and I'm like, this is what I want to do with my life.
Mhm.
And from there, I inquired about showcasing in different galleries. Heath Gallery is one of the galleries that is owned by a black couple in Harlem. It's a brownstone that they live in. And every month they actually would invite artists from the area to showcase their work for free. And so when I heard about it, it was the first gallery. I'm seeing all this amazing work up on the wall. I'm an abstract artist. This is like maybe 10 years ago. I'm like, I am not qualified to be here. Everyone's gonna laugh at me. But I said, fuck it, it is what it is. And I remember that time I got the most amazing applause and everyone gravitated towards my work. And I think from there, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make this a career. And then that was kind of the story from there. But a
Wow.
little crazy story,
Yeah,
but
that was, that was a crazy story, but it's your story, so we
hmm
honor that. We honor the story and the
Mm,
fact that you took that moment, or in that moment, you're like, I got to do what makes me happy. I love that. And you
yeah.
picked up the canvas, but you have evolved from the canvas to a clothing line to a magazine. Tell us a little bit about that evolution.
Right. Well, yeah, like I said, I always wanted to get into something creative. I wanted to be a designer of some sort. So, I said, hey, I'm just gonna like maybe take a stab at a clothing line. And what ended up happening was I came up with the name Blue Calf, Bleu, which is French. I always associated style with French culture, and calf is a young animal. So the whole story behind that was stylish generation. Um, I wanted to do a streetwear line, a elite streetwear line. I kind of fell out of it because the production cost and everything was a lot. So I said, okay, I'm gonna put this on pause until I can get everything together. I ended up becoming an artist, ended up meeting a network of artists, Now, where the story really begins is that there's the art world and then there's representation in the art world and then black representation in the art world. And that's a thing that lacks within the art world on an institutional level, especially. So when we look at um, black representation in U.S. institutions, U.S. institutions only make up around roughly 2.3% of black artists that are in permanent collections. And even when I would go to the galleries and pitch myself off rip without even asking, they would be like, well, you're not established.
Mm,
And I'm like, I didn't even introduce myself. Like, I'm like, what? And so I took that as a sense of racism in a sense. So I said, okay, cool. Bet it was my villain error. I was like, I'm gonna start my own publication from the artists that are in my area. I'm not gonna wait on anybody to give me any type of validation. One thing about me is that I don't ask. I shoot first and ask questions later. And if I want something, I'm gonna take it. I don't wait on anyone to say yes. I don't let anyone tell me no. I'm
mhm.
down for compromise depending on the circumstance. And I'm a very reasonable person, but if I want something, I'm going to get it.
Oh,
And that was the story with that.
mhm.
So I said, I'm going to create a magazine. I don't have any experience in journalism. I don't know how to do photography. I don't know how to do any of that. I picked these up along the way. And my partner at the time was a big help in that too. And you know, just everybody in the community was a big help. And we published it in 2019. Fast forward, we get the studio, right?
Mhm.
Where we hosted events and we uh we did a lot for the Bronx community as well. And the rest was history. I think we're
Yeah.
like going on volume 6 in the summer.
Wow, I
Yeah.
tell you,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I want to better understand Blue Pablo because I want to go back to, so we've got Bleucalf, but when did you emerge as Blue Pablo?
That was like around the time Instagram first started.
Ah, okay.
Um, Life of Pablo, which was Kanye West's album.
Is that what it is?
He is one of my favorite albums by him.
Hmm.
He came out with that album and the name Pablo in itself, like Spanish for Paul, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. Yeah, Spanish for Paul. Um, it's my great grandfather's name, right? But then Pablo is such a dominant name in human history. I wanted to embody that as an artist. And then blue being my favorite color and also a derivative from my clothing line, Blue Calf. I just thought it just had a good ring to it. But I think, that name has such power, it has such like essence, without me even saying anything,
Hmm.
and I've embodied that image and that confidence through that name,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
without compromising who I am personally. So,
Without compromising who you are personally. If you had to define yourself to the world, anyone listening, who is Blue Pablo?
wow, that's a loaded question.
Okay, one thing
I
about
mean, I'll give an honest take. I'm somebody that's really cool. I'm very down to earth. Uh I'm quiet when I need to be. I'm
Mhm,
assertive when I need to be. I'm somebody who's very passionate about about what he loves, who he loves, right?
mhm,
Um and I'm someone who wants to create, but more importantly, I'm someone who really cares about their legacy and the legacy that comes after me. I really care about people. I'm someone who really understands that though Blue Pablo wants to be known, and I want it all. I want the recognition, I want the fame, I want all of that.
mhm,
But I also understand that this what we're doing, especially in arts, is way bigger than me.
yeah,
And I understand my place in it and I just wanna contribute to the space that I'm in impactfully. I really want to have an impact and I wanna just be a resource to the people that are trying to do the same thing as me or maybe have similar inspirations because the honest truth is that I get nowhere if my community isn't where it needs to be as well. So I'm somebody who deeply cares about others, and I just want to see people win, and I want to
Oh,
win. And I said in my last artist talk, I do not lose. I do not lose. I do not lose.
you do not lose. I love that.
And I want the people around me to have that same attitude. We do not lose. We take a step back. We can reassess the situation, right? There's the setbacks, there's drawbacks. We may have to take some time off, but we do not lose at all.
I love that. I
Yes,
love that. We do
yes.
not lose at all with that mindset. Tell
Hmm.
me, how does the mindset you have, we do not lose, the legacy that you want to have,
Hmm.
how does that translate to the work you produce?
It allows me to create freely. It really allows me to create freely. I don't, it, I do want to say this. The approach and the attitude I have, that takes time. Like, I didn't come off the gate like, oh, I don't lose. I'm Blue Pablo. I have a little bit of an edge to me. And to the front-facing public, I may not come off as like arrogant or as, pretty reserved for the most part, but I'm highly confident. It could be borderline arrogant in a sense, but it's cool. I accept it. But I think the thing is that took time to get to, and I took a lot of learning lessons. It took a lot of bump in my head. It took a lot of reassurance in myself, and that even now I still have my days to where it's like, oh, I'm not where I want to be, this and that, and it's okay. I think it's human. Might have that imposter syndrome sometimes, and that just means that you care. That means that you care about what you do. And I think it translates to my work because it's like I create freely. I don't have any ties or strings or, any commitments attached to my work. I create the work and the audience that wants to engage with it will, and the audience that doesn't, they don't. Or they probably will one day or whatever.
Mhm.
But I operate out that confidence. And I think people before I was like, my art and me are separate. And I think when people get to know me, they get to know the person I am. They can see directly the person I am through my work and they attach the two. And before I didn't like that, but now I have a deeper understanding on why that is.
Mhm.
And I appreciate it, so.
I do want to ask you a couple of things. Imposter syndrome. Tell me more about imposter syndrome. How do you overcome imposter syndrome and push forward to create the great work that you do?
Yeah, it is as confident as I can boast about on this interview. I go through it. I go through it. There's days where I'm like, yo, like I just don't. I think I wasted a lot of time. I should have went about things this way. Social media is a big thing to where you compare yourself to other people that you well where you want to be, and you're
Mhm.
just like, yo, why am I not there yet? Not to say like you're jealous or whatever, but that comparison really can hit you. And
Mhm.
it's tough. It's really, really tough. It's not an easy thing. Some days I wake up and I'm just like, damn, like I could be doing this. You see a residency opportunity, you apply for it, get denied 3 times in a year, and it's not even we're not even like we're a quarter through way through, and it's just like, am I not good enough? The work that I'm doing, I'm putting out so much work, right? It's a real thing, and I think part of it is allowing yourself to go through those motions, right? Really don't hide from that. Like feel that, like really feel that, right? But then after a certain point, you also have to keep people around you that, can remind you, you could talk those feelings out like, yo, I know I'm doing a good job. I know I'm at this level, but this is what I'm feeling right now. And sometimes it's voicing how you feel can like you can really hear yourself. And it's, you can kind of get over what you're feeling at the moment. Having a good support system is super, super huge. And then
Mhm.
also you have to also remind yourself of the accomplishments that you've done. Like I've done a lot of stuff. Featured in Huffington Post, showcase work in Queens Museum, showcase work in Leslie Loman Project Space. Was interviewed by BronxNet. Bronx a Walk of Fame nominee, right?
Wow.
I have my own gallery in the South Bronx. I have my own magazine that I publish. Um, I've done work with Sotheby's, work with Scholastic. I've done so many things, and there's so many people that wish they had the opportunities that I had. And I reflect and say, you know what? I cannot take these things for granted.
Mhm.
There's so many people that want to be in your shoes. You have to count your blessings. And it's a up and down thing, but overall I practice gratitude and I'm very, very thankful for the things that I'm given and I try not to take it for granted for sure.
Yeah, gratitude really
Hmm.
changes the lens in which we see the world.
Hmm.
Truly believe that. And congratulations on all of your accomplishments.
Thank you.
Love that. When we go back to your artwork, what do you want them to feel?
I don't know. I think my work is like a mirror in a sense. Like, I want you to like, I want you to feel certain things that like you're searching for within yourself. And I'm not a dictator of that. Like, that
Mhm,
could be different for everybody, but I always feel like my work is a mirror. Like, I don't want you to envision, like, some people be like, I see a face, I see a person. Like, that's cool.
mhm,
But I really want you to like be emotionally like tapped in. Like, yo, this makes me feel angry. This makes me feel pissed off. Like, why do you feel that way? This
mm,
makes me feel really calm. This makes me feel really happy. This makes me feel joyous. This makes me feel confident. This makes me feel scared.
mhm, mhm.
I I rather you say I don't like this piece. This makes me feel like this. That means I've done my job as an artist, honestly.
Okay.
Um, I don't really look for. I do appreciate compliments and and words of encouragement when people do see my art, but also like I appreciate critical feedback. Like, we're all human at the end of the day, and not every emotion has to be positive, but it's something. I want to evoke something that you haven't felt before. And I want to change your perspective on things. I want you to go home and just really think about like, yo, what did I see this now?
Mm,
You know,
yeah. Just thinking through again your artwork, what medium do you use?
mostly acrylic. Use a lot
Acrylic.
of spray paint.
Okay.
Use a lot of inks as well. Generally, I've primarily painted on canvas, though I do paint on paper now for
Mm,
storage reasons and for archival reasons as well. So that's been a big thing for me. I have actually a series on my gallery called A Song of Blue Part 3, and that deals with works on paper during my academic studies, and that was really giving an ode to a lot of the Black artists that I look up to and that I research, and I reference each one in each piece along with a song choice to each piece as well. So definitely check that out. That'll be on display for a while, and but yeah.
nice. Really nice.
Mhm.
And where's the gallery located for listeners?
South Bronx.
The South
Lock
Bronx.
Haven, South Bronx, Scott Bleu Studios.
Wonderful. What has been your most challenging moment as an artist?
Uh,
The creative. Let's expand it because you're moving in so many different realms as a creative.
mhm. I think I'll share this. When I first started, a lot of my contemporaries or like people that were around me didn't understand abstract art. So they would liken it to kids' art or amateur art, something like that. So I think the biggest thing, challenge, but also uses as motivation. But the biggest challenge was just accepting that criticism. People would say hurtful things like, you know, you're never gonna make it with this style. Your work lacks depth. Stick to your day job. My 5-year-old can do this. What else? This looks like amateur play. It's not good. I've heard a lot of stuff. And at the time, I didn't have the artistic language or understanding of my work. So I just had to take it like, oh, all right. You're not going to make any money off of this.
Mm-hmm.
Coworkers, some of my own friends, some of my own art colleagues would say this, family members, right? Um, a lot of people didn't really believe. I had one coworker tell me I had my head up my ass.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
going to ask you, how did you close the gap and ramp up so you receive feedback and you're developing, evolving in craft? How did
Hmm.
you close the gap between where you were then and then where you wanted to be?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, this is something that I love to do. Like, I don't have to make a dime from it. I don't have to share it with nobody, but I do this for me. And I think I had to continuously remind myself, like, those things really affected me. I'm not gonna lie, like those things really affected me. But it didn't stop me from creating because I felt like it was my safe place at the end of the day. I'm
Mhm.
like, you know what? At one point I was like, you know what? Maybe I won't make any, I'm still gonna paint. I'm still gonna create. I'm gonna
Mhm.
be that. I'm gonna, I'm still gonna do what I love to do. And that's not gonna stop me. Maybe
Mhm.
I won't be the next Basquiat. Maybe I won't be a museum. Maybe all those things are true, but I still love to create. And I'm going to go out trying to do the thing that I love to do. And unfortunately, some people don't find what they love to do in life. I have. That's my gift.
Mhm.
And that's how I kind of bridge that gap, honestly. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. You've overcome a lot.
Thank
You've
you.
overcome a lot, which is beautiful to hear that even
Mhm.
though you had those challenges, you took their feedback or their critique and you just created, and it's just become a beautiful evolution of self and identity of walking in purpose.
I
Right.
think also I have this thing with me. Like
Mm.
when someone tells me something like that, I get inspired. I'm like, oh, you don't know me. Like when people give me compliments, I'm very thankful. I'm like, thank you. Like, I don't take those for granted. You know, um,
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
like, it's really heartfelt. When someone says nasty stuff about my work, I love it. Give me a reason. It puts a battery in my back. It's like a Michael Jordan thing. Like Michael Jordan, he used to this use these little things to motivate him during a game, and it was a little psychotic. Like, when someone would like not give him a handshake before the game, he's like, "Oh, this person didn't want to give me a handshake before the game. Oh, okay, he must not think." And he would use that, and it's like, it's a bit, it's a bit psychotic, but it works. And I think for me, when someone doubts me, I'm like, I don't have to prove it to you, but I have to prove it to myself that I could do this. Like, and I love it. I love it.
Wow. Your eyes lit up. You're like, I love this. I really do. But you know what? That works. Yes, it's motivation. But do you have any advice for someone who has received negative comments?
Mhm.
Any advice for them?
It's gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Wow.
I think, just really understand your why. Why are you creating? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And realize that you're doing it for yourself, first and foremost. Outside noise is gonna happen, but realize that you're doing it for you and no one else at the end of the day. When it's all said and done, you'll be the first one in and you'll be the only one out. It's just like, we got to be a little selfish when it comes to that. So, and also keep good people around you that you want to inspire to or that can motivate you, that will speak life into you, right? One thing there's artists that are maybe not, maybe, want to get to a certain level. And, maybe there's art that I see that could, maybe not the art, but maybe the presentation or whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
For me, I never will say anything bad about someone's work. I'll give constructive criticism, like, maybe you could try this, but I'll always point out something that I do like. And it's
Hmm.
usually something that I do like in a piece. Even if I don't like it, I never will tear an artist down because it's one of the hardest things to like really, for me, I'm different, but for other people, it may not be so easy. So, definitely keep people around you to speak life and, really try to, one of the big things too is developing an identity around your work, which does take time, but also artistic language and so you could defend yourself,
Hmm.
and really be sure on yourself, and also realize that that takes time.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight.
What is the biggest lesson you've learned on your journey as an artist?
One of the biggest lessons is again, association is everything. Um, having a successful art career is unfortunately less about talent and who you know. And I think that's life in general. Your network is your net worth, and your network is super important to what you want to do as a creative. Your impact on community is also really important in regards to how people are going to reciprocate that love to you, right? A
Yeah.
big part of my success is pouring into others. and people show up for me as well. So that's super important. And really just having a sense of consistency is really, really big. Being consistent and being known for something will make your life really easy. Again, that takes time as well, developing a style, developing a network that supports you, but it's all in the long game for sure. Play the long game. I think, we see people that go viral or have success and we think that they blew up overnight, but it's usually not the case. They usually spent like years trying to develop their craft and then at one moment they got a break, but it rarely happens overnight.
Yeah,
Or it really doesn't ever happen overnight.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. There's that false narrative that it's overnight.
Mhm.
What are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of the gallery.
Tell us more.
Well, actually, before the gallery, the magazine,
Okay.
and it's the network that I've built,
Hmm.
of friends and colleagues that I'm in the circle with. We've been really inspiring each other, and I'm really proud of that.
The gallery and the magazine. I'm so fascinated about the fact that you have a magazine.
A lot of work.
Yeah, I just think that it's amazing. So the voices in your magazine, tell us about the stories.
Yeah. So my work, the work that's in there really consists heavily on visual artists. But
Mhm.
um we do publish performing artists like, musicians, hip hop artists, R&B artists, producers and stuff like that as well. And a lot of the stories, they come from heavily definitely from like New York City, a lot of artists from New York City, but we do have international and regional features across the US too, where, there was one story, I think one of the most touching stories, uh, Shahada Morel, she actually told me that, when people saw her article, they really took her a lot more serious and it really bonded um, her relationship with her friends and her family a lot more. Um, Not to say that it wasn't, they didn't have a good relationship, but people now saw her work visible. And especially a lot of other artists use the feature maybe to apply for their a residency, a art residency or a gallery, right? Actually, who was the oh fucking Marcus Carter? He
Mhm.
actually an artist used the magazine to apply for a gallery and became a member of the gallery, right? That was a big thing. We have several artists that use that for their green card status or their visa status as
Wow.
well, right? So this actually provided a lot of opportunities, people connecting and working outside of the magazine. I thought that was really beautiful too.
Mhm.
And that's also something I'm really, really proud of as well, creating those platforms.
Really nice. What is one thing you would tell your younger self?
Oh man, like really step into who you are and be unapologetic. I think a lot of times I was very, very, and I still am in a sense. I do things for the comfort of others. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But like learn to live for yourself and
Mm.
don't apologize for it. Learn to be more assertive and learn to take action and don't wait on anybody. Time moves so fast. I mean, that's definitely something I would tell myself now and definitely past Blue Pablo,
That's Blue Pablo. And so
Uh,
it sounds like that's the same advice you would probably give to other creatives who are
yeah,
trying to find their purpose. And
yeah, 100%.
do you feel as if you're walking in your purpose now?
Oh yeah, 100%. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, no.
We are walking, we are running, we are powering through. I am in my purpose. This is like probably one of the best moments of my life, I would say.
Okay, love it. I love it. You talked about legacy earlier. What is one thing you want to be known for?
I want to be known for the impact I have on others, honestly.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
And it's a bit of an egotistical thing, sure, but a it's an example of how we pass on to the next generation, right? What examples do we leave for the people that are coming after us? And I think that's a bigger thing. when we think about this term, especially in the Black community, generational wealth and all of this stuff, right? It's
Mhm.
really like, how are you setting up the people that are coming after you that may want to do the same thing? Like, how are you setting them up for success? And sometimes that's not monetary gain. That's like, information, that's resources. And I want to be known for that. And I want to leave that example and that blueprint for others because this is how we gain this, generational wealth. We share the plug, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Blue Pablo, Bleucalf Blueprint. What is one thing that's coming up for you that you're excited about?
Well, a couple things that are happening presently. Um, we have the exhibit at my studio, Scott Bleu Studios, A Song with Blue Part 3. We have Why Don't We Just exhibit, which was curated by Akeem Duncan, and it's my exhibit in collaboration with an amazing artist, Mr. Moda. We have a collab exhibit together. We're going to be working on some collab pieces. We have Feng Shui, which is my series that is in Roosevelt Island at the Octagon, which is hosted by Riva Gallery. And yeah, we have three exhibits on display right now.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to share?
We have Bleucalf Volume 6 coming out potentially in August. Stay tuned. Shout out to, all my colleagues, everyone that's been supporting. Yeah, and I'm just really thankful to be in this space and just thank you again for opening the platform for us artists to talk and share our stories. If it's not recorded, if it's not documented, did it happen, right? So I think what you're doing is amazing, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm grateful to have you as a guest. Really
Thank you.
grateful. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you left feeling inspired and energized to follow your own path with purpose and creativity. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep living your purpose.